Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Amber of A Milwy Design. If you are coming back to my YouTube channel, thanks for coming back. And if you're new here, hi, welcome. Today, on my wonderfully messy desk surface here, I'm going to engage in some radical honesty, which is something that I try to do as much as possible when it comes to art. Because at the end of the day, art is just paper and marks, and it doesn't have to be bigger than that. And so I think it's important to step back and make sure that we're not doing things that don't serve us. I am a recovering perfectionist and recovering people pleaser, so I really struggle with concepts like you don't have to do that if you don't want to, whatever that is. I start a book, I feel like I'm supposed to finish it. If I tell someone I will meet them for a movie, I'm probably not going to back out of it if, you get the idea. So I made this paper bag journal a while back. I totally fell in love with it. The main thing that I had wanted to do, other than use the paper bags, was practice this tab binding, which is honestly one of my favorite ways to bind anything because it's so versatile. And it makes it possible for you to really fill things up. So if you're someone who ends up with really chunky journals, it's a great way to just build a book in preparation for needing that extra space. And there's a lot to like. So many pockets and a very inexpensive substrate, so you never feel like you're messing something up or wasting something. Here's what I don't like. It is so gosh darn squishy. And yeah, I've got a book board in here somewhere because I just felt it a second ago, which is just a fancy way of saying I have some like cardboard shoved into one of the pockets to add some structure. But it's just like when you collage on it, it's not a very sturdy surface, so it can be very hard to get out your bubbles. I just don't enjoy using the paper in the way that I thought I would. You can see I'm trying my best. I'm putting artwork in here, like pasting it in, trying to make it something that I want to engage with. But at the end of the day, when I look at my wall of art journals and sketchbooks and whatnot, and I've been trying to get more consistently engaged with art journaling, and making that in central part of my practice. And I'm doing that thing where I look at the shelf and I go, I should really use those, because I have two. I should really use those paper bag journals. And I just don't want to. And then sometimes I just find something else to do entirely because I feel like I've got to use these and I don't want to use them. And sometimes it takes a little while to come to that realization, right? Where something's there and it's sort of holding you back, but you don't know what and you don't know why. And you have to come to grips with that and understand where it's coming from in order to really know what to do about it. And so it's time to say goodbye to these. I think probably both of them. I made the other one fairly recently, partly because I was doing a demo for this channel because someone had asked for it. So, if you haven't made yours yet, this is probably helpful information. Doesn't mean you shouldn't make one, The second one was much more successful in a number of ways. The first is I left the handles on the front and back cover. So it's, sorry, I should actually try harder to be in frame. It's like a little satchel. And, you know, those pockets then really have an opportunity to show off because you can shove stuff in them and then take this wherever you want to go. Tab bound again, slightly prettier tabs. And the other big thing is it's fewer bags, so there's less of that squish that I was running to in the other one. So I actually very well may keep this one around a little longer and see if I only have this one to work in. There's a book board in here. See, that's probably just the back of like pad of paper. But yeah, I suspect I will pull this one out and continue to work in it. These are images from Collage Soup. I love them. And I've got almost all of the surfaces covered in something, which is a really good way for me to sort of open into something and just respond to what's on the page and start playing. But it's officially time to say goodbye to this one. I mean, it's huge. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bags. 10 bags. And it's squashy and chunky. And I don't like it. So, what I will most likely do is see if there's any of the art that I like glued in here that I want to try and keep. Because I do see a couple of things that I put down in here that maybe I would want to salvage. And that is something I do. I am happy to cannibalize old sketchbooks, old art journals, what have you. I'm happy to just tear them apart and reuse things as collage fodder. That's actually exactly what this is here. It was glued down into a spiral bound journal that I used as one of my very first art journals. And it wasn't glued very successfully because I'm pulling it up right now. And that was the page it had been glued down onto. So maybe we keep that guy. Maybe we keep my little quirky birds here. These are from Joggles. They're Elizabeth St. Hilaire's For the Birds masks. I really like this piece. I did this, I believe, during a class with maybe Casey Turner in Wanderlust. Definitely part of Wanderlust. So I may try and keep that. Some of these, they weren't all of that special to me, which is part of how they ended up in here in the first place. This was, I've been doing a lot of hares. I got the idea I wanted to do a tortoise and a hare. I do like my little tracing paper tortoise. If I can rip him up, I may do that. But yeah, I'm going to take it apart and then send it on its way, shuffle off this mortal coil, and let something new take its place on my sketchbook / journal shelf. And I think that's actually going to free me up. And that's what it's all about, is what is hindering me from spending time working on my stuff, working in my space, making art of any kind. And anytime I can manage to identify a barrier, regardless of the type of barrier, the next thing to do is decide what is the best solution for removing that barrier. And in this case, it is saying goodbye to that journal. Like I said, this one I'm having a little bit more success with. So I think I'm not ready to say goodbye to this one yet. I want to see if removing the other one makes me feel more invited to work in this one. And even just as much as like when you saw those two things stacked together, they're taking up a ton of room on the shelf. So it really is feeling like I've got to work in that. There's so much there. I think just having something that's a little bit closer to being on par with the size and thickness of a more normal journal, a more typical journal, might just make things a little bit easier. I'd be interested to know from you all, have you ever worked in a journal you realized wasn't working for you? And what did you do about it? Did you cannibalize it like I tend to do? Did you rip it up? Did you just put it on a highest shelf in the back of the darkest closet and just try to forget about it and move on? Let me know. Anyhow, that's all I've got for this video today. I'm trying to get better at remembering to turn the camera on while I'm working, while I'm thinking, when I come up with an idea. A lot of these conversations I just have in my own head. And so hopefully I will get better about turning the camera on and spending time with you all. If you've stuck around to the end, thank you. And if you have a moment, if you found any value here, please take a moment to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified of future videos. And, today we only see the cat hair, but, sometimes you get to see the cat, so that's a bonus. And this, I'll explain this here. I've been putting underpaper down on my work surface. And again, it is not to protect my work surface. This is the desktop I work on. It's seen some things. It's more about the fact that when I have paper under what I'm working on and I get marks and drips and dribbles and things, or sometimes I just have extra paint on my brush and just want to get it off, it gets on the underpaper, and then I use that to, well, here's one right here, make the bones of funky little journals. This I will work in. This is an accordion journal with big gigantic pockets that I can stick stuff in, like her. Yeah. So usually I have this big roll of this weird, like, terracotta colored butcher paper, and that's often what I use. But I don't remember what sparked the idea the other day, and I used to sew a lot. I have a ton of canvas that I bought that I was going to use to make like bags and overalls and stuff, because I was really into bags at the time, and I love an overall. But then I stopped sewing as much, and I never used the canvas. And for some reason I thought I should just get it out and put it down as my underpaper. And then as the marks accumulate, there'll reach a point where, I can actually just like tear it up and use it in projects. It's working great. I have another one of these that's got a lot more marks on it. That's really pretty. But man, the cat hair. When Sassy Cat lays on this, and she lays on it a lot, she just sheds all over it, and it really grabs that cat hair. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up, but trust me. Anyway, ultimately I have 4 pieces of these that I ripped up this size. So I've just been changing them out periodically. When the cat hair tends to get too much, throw them in the wash. So some of these marks will fade when they go through the washer, some won't. Then just use it again over and over and over until I get to the point where it becomes something I want to put in my art instead of under my art. So that's what this is about. All right. And now I really am going to say goodbye again. Thanks for joining me.